All right. Next first impression here. Devlin, what do you think of when I show you this?
Man, that was a sinkhole of most of my childhood. I had a SEGA Genesis.
I had that with the 32-bit, and Star Wars and Doom were the only two games that I played with the 32-bit. And I was supposed to be like the new technology, no longer 16, you now have 32, and you look back at it now.
I love the marketing here.
Sega had the best commercials, though. Remember their commercials?
Remember what they would always say at the end?
Sega!
There you go. I was hoping you would do it that way.
So, I don't know if this is a thing, but when I was a kid, this was the thing cable companies came out with, and it was called the Sega Channel. And it was literally a Sega game that hooked up to your cable box, or like the cable, and you would plug it into your Sega, and you would get 50 or 30 games every month.
I think I do remember that, because I remember the Genesis even had very rudimentary internet beginnings, if you will, and the ability to hook up online. So, Mommy, what are these two Sega machines doing? They're making an arcade system, dear. You look down here, you'll notice that it was around $160 for this. Over 32,000 colors and realistic 3D graphics. So then I also got to show you guys this, because the SEGA Genesis, it was released August 14th, 1989 in North America. The other guys just don't stack up. Oh, man.
I had one of those, like, I had two Genesis, because I had, my mom had got me one, the first one was that big one.
Would that be,
I had the big one,
Would that be the plural, or you had Genesi?
Genesi. But it was like the earlier version of it, and it was big, and I remember, like, the dogs, whatever, had done something to it, so it stopped working, and my mom, like, a few years later, bought me another one. They had shrunk it down a little bit more. It was like, I think a third of a size of what that one is there, but I do remember having, like, both the larger version and that smaller version, then getting the 32 plug-in thing.
Yeah, I was the only kid in my hood that got the Genesis. Everyone else got Super Nintendo, and I felt left out.
I didn't have either. I just had to go to a friend's house to play.
We had both. I had the Sega. My brothers ended up getting a Super Nintendo, so we would just switch off. Everybody, dude, it was so funny. Like, everybody else in our neighborhood got Super Nintendo, except this one family, the Irish family. Their parents didn't believe in that stuff, and they got like a Coleco system.
Oh, I was just gonna say they get a ColecoVision. Commodore 64.
They tried to get us to come over. They're like, "Yeah, play this new system we got," and it's like, dude. We're like, this sucks.
Have you guys, or if they're Irish, have you guys seen this new game called Frogger? It's fucking fantastic.
Well, it's Irish in name, O'Connor's.
So, Sonic the Hedgehog was not the first game that came with the console. Do you guys know what was?
Pac-Man?
Streets of Rage.
No. Altered Beast.
Oh yeah, I loved that game in the arcade. That was
Altered Beast was my jam at the arcade. That's where I put all my money. But then, of course,
the other one.
You were able to get it with Sonic, and this is one that comes with Sonic 2, where you got Tails right there.
Yeah, that's the smaller one.
Golden Axe. That's what I'm thinking of. Golden Axe.
Yeah. Now, there was a mascot
Golden Axe was fun.
before Sonic. Do you guys know who that was? Alex Kidd.
What the hell is that?
So
I don't know who that is.
It was a character that had already been created and had actually been around for a few years, and you could play it on Sega's Master System, the previous console. And there was only one game released that was called Alex Kidd and the Enchanted Castle for the Genesis, and obviously it didn't do well, and they moved on, and Sonic became the thing.
Sandcastle?
Right? I guess.
He's like he's at the beach and damn sandcastle.
So the Genesis was technically a faster console. The marketing team completely made up a term. Do you guys remember what that term was?
Sega-ness?
Blast processing. It was complete bull. Like they made up the term, but
that's a marketing thing. It's got to be.
But technically, the Genesis was faster than the Nintendo. Because it did have a faster CPU.
If like blast processing sounds like something you'd see in an adult fucking movie, like, come here, I'm gonna blast process you in the face.
God.
That's what they call the money shot.
Sounds like something Michael Scott would say on The Office. Right? Get the
Jesus, it does.
process things.
So obviously back then, Nintendo, super successful, and they did a fantastic job of keeping Sega out of stores like Walmart. Because they basically said, if you allow the Genesis or you sell any of the Genesis products in your store, we're not going to let you sell Nintendo products. And Nintendo was a huge moneymaker for them. So stores would not carry the Genesis. This is what was brilliant with the Genesis. They would then rent a space across the street from these stores, and they would rent like a shop, and they would set up all of these kiosks that looked, I'm assuming, similar to this, where people could go play the Sega Genesis for free. And then suddenly, and I believe it was outside of the main Walmart in, is it Alabama? Bentonville. I think it's Bentonville, Alabama, is where Walmart is based. And so they did this right outside. So they finally had, and the lines were huge for people to come in and play the Sega Genesis for free. And so that got them to realize, right? What's that?
So that has to be a basement, right? With the
oh yeah, this is some dude that bought it. Like
yeah. You see the curtains up in the back.
Yeah,
like where
there's a bed right here for crying out loud. It looks like, or at least like some boxes covered up. Yeah, I was trying to find a better picture, but I really couldn't find a. I wanted to find one of the actual stores, but I couldn't. And finally, something that led to the downfall of Sega was the battle between Sega of Japan and Sega of America. The Japanese branch didn't like how a lot of the things were done with the US office and what they were doing to boost sales. They were more traditional, and this ended up leading to the poor decisions in the 90s and eventually the fall of Sega.
Mm-hmm.
So America brought down Sega, or the Japanese one brought down Sega?
I would say both.
Okay.
Both.
Like I said, their commercials were wild. Remember, like, there's the one where the guy's beating himself on the head with like a petrified squirrel, and he's playing a Game Boy system.
Oh, that was Ethan Suplee.
Yeah.
Ethan Suplee.
But like, if you watch those 90s Sega commercials, they were like the most acid out commercials that you could ever see in your life.
The Chameleon one was awesome.
Yep.
I've got to do this. It's like, I think that's split personality disorder, love. Please stop doing that.